Welcome to Austin Eras, where we explore Austin's transformation into a 21st century boomtown and the voices shaping its past, present, and future.
Austin is a much bigger city than it was 20 years ago. There are more restaurants, more companies, more private clubs, more events, more places to go, and probably more ways than ever to meet people. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easier to find your people. Chloé Chang has spent nearly 2 decades figuring that out. She came to Austin for UT, built a successful real estate career by relentlessly putting herself in rooms and building relationships, and eventually took that idea to its logical extreme. She built the room herself. We're recording today at Château Chloé in a beautiful area of East Austin. The home she designed not only as a place to live, but as a place to bring people together. Thousands of people have now walked through these doors for dinners, parties, conversations, brand events, and gatherings. And underneath all of that, it is a philosophy Chloé comes back to again and again. Life is better in good company. So today I want to understand something bigger than real estate or events. How do we intentionally build the life, relationships, and community we want around us, especially in a city changing as quickly as Austin? So Chloé, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction. I'm glad that was recorded. I'm going to have to add that to my bio.
Well, we'll go into more of this soon, but tell me about why you're so obsessed with creating the room around you. Well, let's start here. Where did that come from? Where did you see that?
I guess I just like things to be comfortable and convenient. I like that. I like when other people feel comfortable, and when you're comfortable, you can be more of yourself. And I've been drawn to people who are unapologetically themselves. Yeah. And I also think that I didn't realize how rare that was for people to feel safe and to feel like a sense of relief. And I kind of learned through mentorship and told people, hey, build your list of champions who when you're not in the room, that they cheer for you and mention that you're, a great realtor or you're a great something or other. And a lot of people didn't have that. And I was like, you can't name 3 people that would do that for you? And I was like, shit, that sucks. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to help people build a circle of champions for themselves, because building a business, living life is just hard if you don't have good people around you.
I love that. Do you think people come here looking for that, or do they end up finding it after they show up?
I like doing things in kind of a discreet way. And so I don't think people are coming looking for anything consciously. Yeah. But I know I don't leave my house hoping that I have a bad time. I'm going out, I was like, I want to meet new people. I want to have a laugh. I want to discover something new. Otherwise, I'll just stay home in the convenience and comfort of my home. Yeah. So how can I create something that makes people feel comfortable, but also excited? And so there's this duality that lives inside me. And I think that's something that lives in everybody, where you want 2 things that are almost the opposite. So how can I give you everything you want without you consciously knowing that?
I love that. We're going to go more we'll talk more about hospitality in a little bit, but I want people to know a little bit about you. Mm-hmm. So you're a Texas native from Missouri City.
Yes.
You came to Austin for the University of Texas, and there's a whole story around that we'll get into. But you got your real estate license when you were still a student, built your business. Just the stories you told me of showing up, putting your business card everywhere, and just amazing. And then this chapter now where you're in Château Chloé that you built yourself from the ground up is really fun. You've got this no bad company ecosystem that you created. So real estate, hospitality, experiences, relationships all together. And you call this real estate your trust engine. So it describes the larger model of the flywheel of really what this looks like. So we'll talk more about that. But let's talk about your origin story. So Were you always intentional about building this life that you wanted, or did something happen that made you stop waiting for it?
I think probably both. I think I've always been aware that time is limited, and my parents raised me that if you want something, you have to work for it. And I kind of became obsessed with that. So I would see a toy that I wanted, and they're like, well, we'll pay for half, but you and your sister have to pay for the other half. So it was go knocking on doors asking if we could wash their car, or I would make jewelry and see if people would, buy it. I'd be like, what chores can I do around the house to make $1? It's like, I think even the tooth fairy only left me 4 quarters, so I don't even.
It was hard.
Yeah, it was hard to get, money when you're 8. Now I guess if TikTok existed back then, who knows? I'd probably be a millionaire by now. But I think that instilled in me, I can get what I want if I work for it. And when my dad passed away, it was kind of the silver lining was there was a blessing to it as well, as that I got to quit a sport that I was no longer in love with anymore.
Which is gymnastics?
Gymnastics, yeah.
And you were in California before all this happened.
Yes, I was at a school in California, and I was doing very well there, but I just was like, I was burnt out. I was doing it because it was my identity, and I'd worked so hard to get there, and I was unhappy. And what allowed me to quit and move home was my dad getting sick with pancreatic cancer. And so I think that even further, was like, I'm going to maybe live my life, not just for me, but for him, and be like, what can I do but live the best, greatest life? And I think your parents just want you to be happy. And my happiness is living a big life.
Yeah. No, and you do.
Yeah.
And people should follow you on social media. You have great videos and interesting things that you're doing regularly. So is there an athlete still in there somewhere? You spent 14 years as a gymnast.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think my body feels like an athlete, but I think that pushing through, trying to be the best, a little bit of that perfectionist. Also, I'm trying to break through the perfectionist problem that prevents me from acting even faster. But I think when you work as an athlete at the highest level, I'm sure when you interview professional athletes, I wasn't a professional, but I was in D1, and the better you are at something, the more you realize how not good you are, because you're in the room with the best. And so I think that became a habit too that I carried over, was if I want to be the best, I need to be around other people who are better than me or also the best, have that same mindset of how can I tweak this to be even better? How can I run a little bit faster? How can I stretch a little bit more? And I think that mindset of be better, get better is a big part of that athlete in me.
So you give up gymnastics, you end up at UT, and while you're still in school, 19, 20 years old, you get your real estate license?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? How did that happen?
Well, I was like, well, I don't want to be poor. I was poor. My dad just died. And also even when I was a gymnast, my dad gave me $300 a month, and that is what I lived off of.
Okay.
So, I was like picking mold off bread and like stealing toilet paper out of public bathrooms, kind of like my dad was very cheap, which is great. I learned a lot of frugal, good habits from that. But I was like, I don't want to live like this. I'm trying to live a big life. And so I asked my friend's dad, who was a wealthy man. It seems like he lived on a golf course, had a statue, drove to Porsche. I was like, what do you do? And he was like, well, I'm a real estate attorney. And I was like, boom, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I don't think I asked him anything else, like what's your day-to-day like? Like, do you like it? I just had been told my whole life that I'd be a great attorney and that I would also be good in sales, because I was very good at convincing people to do things. Whether it's like getting a friend to like stay over, like her
Sounds
parents.
Like stirring up trouble. Is that what this is?
Well, getting in and out of trouble was good when you just had a little charisma and just, little sales tactic, and door-to-door knocking, trying to sell jewelry that I made when I was 10 type of thing. And so I got my real estate license, having no idea that you didn't actually need to know real estate or be a realtor to be a real estate attorney. But I was just like, I'll get into real estate. I'll learn the terms. I'll make the connections, and then I'll go to law school. And then I did my first little $800 a month West Campus rental. They were paying 100% commission on that one. And I had never made $800 before. I was like, this would take me forever, like waiting tables or doing any sort of, regular wage job. And then that athlete in me was like, wait, I can do marketing, I can do sales. It's like my whole brain was like, I will never get bored in this. There's always going to be something to do. And I became obsessed and fortunately did not go to law school.
Well, so you immediately, though, got that obsession and you started hustling. And so tell me a little bit about the early years of being in college, being a realtor, and then kind of what your early years once you got out of college looked like.
Yeah,
to build your business.
College was fun. I mean, honestly, I was so obsessed with being a good student my whole life. I was not great in school. I would read something once, would forget about it. Everything that seemed easy to everybody else was very hard for me. And so I was like, but I wanted to get good grades. And then when I got my real estate license, I was like, I could try really hard in school. And they had just changed UT from a plus minus scale. So 4.0, the perfection in me was like, I'm going to have a 4.0 from UT, was out the window. You had to have A pluses, 98% on everything. I was like, I'm not going to get a 98% in biology or whatever I had to take. So I was like, I'll just try and then do the try hard in real estate. And I'll just, I was like down to even not graduate. I was like, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life. But so college was great because I knew what I wanted to do. And I just, like you said, I was in this organization called Texas Sweethearts. Every meeting we were at, I was like, who needs to rent a house? You guys are going to be roommates? Cool. Call me next week, or I'm going to call you. I'm going to get your emails. I'm going to send you these. Like, you didn't have a choice. Like, I basically bullied you into working with me.
Great.
And then I was like, I'm going to run for a position in Texas Sweethearts because then you really can't not work with me. And then, every class I would put like a business card. There was this thing called Blackboard back then, and you'd ask questions on there. And I was just like soliciting who needs to rent.
Violating all the rules, I'm sure.
Probably. I mean, you couldn't kick me off. It was, you're a student.
Yeah.
And then after college was very hard because no one wanted to buy a house from a 21-year-old. And so, I didn't really sell any real estate until later, probably like 23, 24. I was just doing a lot of rentals. But I learned that's how you learned. I learned a lot about investing and landlords and renter mindset. And but then I almost got out of real estate because all of my friends got into tech and they were making like $50,000 a year. And I was like, wow, you have benefits and you make $50,000 and you get to go on all these boat parties and happy hours. It was like kind of the booming of like tech and, you know, Bizarre Voice and Spread Fast. And some people listening will be like, oh yeah, SHI, all my friends were working at SHI. And I was like, that looks like fun. But I was thinking, well, if I'm going to work this hard for someone else's company, I might as well just work that hard for me. And I'm glad I stuck with it because now I sell the people that work in tech primarily. I think I told you I sat down, I was like, who do I know? Where do they work? What do they do? And I was like, kind of created this little like archetype. And the archetype was people who work in tech. I saw a lot of upward mobility of income that they were going to make. And that's where my friends worked, so they could vouch for me, building that group of champions to get me in the door at these tech companies where I started bringing like breakfast tacos and introducing myself. And then that wasn't really working. So then I built a presentation that taught people how to buy homes and asked if I could come and present a home buying presentation and bring them lunch. This was before like tech companies had Michelin star chefs cooking for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that you told me before that was really interesting is you'd read the room in a sense, and you were finding the people that maybe other people were listening to, and you were trying to get their focus so your influence to them could then influence others. So you were really figuring out how to connect that room and find out where you could make that sale that might multiply.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big part of what I kind of try and help people do now. It's, you can't talk to everybody. You can't go to everything. But if you can understand who the leaders are or just kind of the tastemakers and they don't even know it, it's even in high school or elementary school. It starts young where there's like always that one kid that whatever he's wearing or saying, everybody else starts wearing it and saying it. And it's just, there's a vibe to it. Yeah. And I tried to find those people like very organically and authentically. Like these were my friends. Like when you plan a trip, everybody's in. When he plans a trip, people pause. It's not because they don't like that other person. It's just there's someone that's going to get it done. They have that aura.
Yeah. So let's now talk about this room that you've been building a little bit. So why does hospitality matter to you, and can belonging, like you're talking about, actually be designed?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has the ability to be a good host because I think it's just human nature to want to care for something in some way, and it doesn't have to be a big room. You could do a book club, you could do a run club, and I'm sure there's more examples besides just these little groups. But yeah, I think I've just recently been able to see the through line between real estate and hosting events. And I think what I've come up with is, as a realtor, you do have to make people feel seen. Like they're confessing a lot of their fears, their financial situations, their health, their family planning. Like we have a very intimate conversation over a span of sometimes years. And especially if you work with them on multiple transactions. So you follow them through this, like, especially 18 years in real estate, I've watched people buy their bachelor pad to their home with their future spouse, and then their kids, and then their parents are moving in, and then I'm working with the baby boomers. And so it's really beautiful to watch these stories. And I think the reason why I'm able to maintain these relationships is because helping people feel safe and seen to tell their stories and talk about things that are very vulnerable and difficult. And I think that translates well to hospitality, of creating a space where people feel comfortable to share their stories.
We covered it a little bit, but where did you learn the art of hospitality? What does that mean to you to host someone inside this beautiful home and have them come here? How do you make them feel?
I don't know where that comes from. I think I just really love the details. I think it, honestly, in a selfish way, it's like, what would I want?
Okay.
If I'm going to a party, or if I want to connect with people, how can I make the space feel kind of magical? I think people don't get a chance to fully be present. And if I can create a space where people can be present, I think it's a beautiful energy to be around. If you've ever been to a concert and everyone's singing the same song together and dancing together, and you're smiling at strangers, I think the New York Knicks, was a great example. I forget the term that they called that. It's not effervescence.
I'm such a Spurs fan, so I blocked out all the Knicks stuff.
But yeah, I think when you get a bunch of people in a room, or like I said, a concert, and they're dancing, they're smiling, it's just like this euphoric feeling of feeling connected.
Yes.
And I think when you have a good conversation like this, do you not walk away feeling just jazzed and energized? Yeah. And the idea that you've been noodling on, you got to say it out loud to somebody, or that conversation that you overheard about a problem and you're like, I can solve that problem. There's so much beauty that comes out of conversations, which is why for No Bad Company, one of the mottos is one conversation can change your life. And so what I do in my job as the producer, or like I say, creative director, is curating serendipity. How can we make it feel like you were supposed to be here and supposed to have that conversation?
Love that. And I've been exploring that same thing with our podcast and our events and things, because how often do you go to a place and you really feel that energy? How often do you get that feeling in your life?
Right.
It's so rare.
It's like when you hear a song, you're like, did he write that song about me? You just feel seen and heard. And even your interview questions of the research you did, and the thought that goes into setting this up, it makes someone feel special. And I think that a lot of people don't feel that way often. And if they do, they're like me, and they're overly critical of themselves. They could always do better. And if you don't have people around you to kind of compliment you or build you up, especially entrepreneurs that are just kind of building on their own.
Yeah. It can be lonely.
It can be lonely, and you can be lonely in an amazing relationship. You can be lonely in a room full of crowded people. But those tiny details of hospitality, are like, man, you knew I was gluten-free and you ordered a gluten-free pizza at your party for me? I was like, absolutely. You know what I mean? It's just little details like that make me feel really proud of what we've created.
Yeah, that takes a lot of energy and intention to do that. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah. It's not hard to come up with the ideas. It's just hard to have a staff of people to kind of communicate all of that too.
That's right. So I want to talk about this place. So we're actually recording in the Speakeasy, and we'll do some video clips later and show some people. There's disco balls, and there's a bar, and you've got some vinyl in here, and some really New Orleans style. So New Orleans how did that inspire you? Tell me a little bit about why.
So I went to New Orleans for the first time right out of college, and it was a blast. Went for Mardi Gras. And I don't think I fell in love with it as much as when I went back as an adult. I went with a boyfriend at the time, and I think I just was able to absorb it differently when it wasn't a lot of binge drinking. But that duality I talked about, I think I am learning that this kind of chaos that lives in my head and how I still will get so frustrated about it. Something about New Orleans, the chaos and the duality is beautiful. It's like I can smell trash and sewage and then butter. And I'm like, why is that amazing? Why is trash and butter just like it's grit and then like decadence? And then you can see all these different time periods of like French and like Asian and then Southern, and you're like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful in a way it does. And I think that's how my brain is. It's like nothing I'm doing right now makes any sense, but I'm going to make it beautiful.
Comes together.
And so I think that really inspired me about I just felt like everyone was outside. The stoops, I love that people were just sitting on the stoops, and it felt very welcoming. And even though the music was so celebratory, growing up, Katrina had happened, and a lot of the New Orleans students came to our high school. And so there's a lot of kind of somberness, a bit of that voodoo, but then there's still this celebratory. It's like you can be sad and celebrate. Everything is just the dichotomy, the duality. It's just wild.
It just somehow works. The combination works.
Yeah.
Building on that, this house is beautiful. It's amazing. You built this from the ground up. You picked every single piece, everything that went in here, you started.
Yes. I like to say the visionary, the creative directing, because I did work with a lot of talented people. I think that's where I feel like I can take credit for, is building a really good team. But I can't say that I designed the whole place. You have to work with people that are better than you.
Well, most of us build our beautiful dream house and we put a bunch of alarms on it and we lock everyone out. All right. And you were like, hey, we're going to have thousands of people in here. I think it was March. You'd already said you'd had 3,500 people. How many people have been through this house just this year?
A lot. Well, also that kind of cheating, because my home was on 2 awards tours. So that brought in a couple thousand people. But on my own, with the parties, it adds up for sure.
So why are you inviting them in? I love the hospitality, but I can't imagine just having everyone walk through your house all the time.
I know, people always ask me that. There's a strategy to it, of course.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty intentional with why I do things, and things don't just happen. I have strategized or dreamt on it for years, if not longer. And so when I kind of had the fuck it moment, and then COVID hit, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it. What else am I going to do? We might die tomorrow. Just do it, And I'm going to make it the anchor of my brand, because at the time I really wanted to break into luxury real estate. I didn't have the luxury connections. I never grew up having any connections. The girl in the room, like, hey, like, I'm Chloe, what do you, just kind of trying to learn through relationships. And I could never break into the luxury market. And I was like, okay, they're going to take me seriously if I build a luxury home. And then I'm going to make this the anchor of my brand, because you can lease a luxury car, you can buy a designer bag, and you can join a golf club and whatever. You can fake success, and that's fine, but you can't fake taste. You either have it or you don't. Now, you might be able to learn it, but I wanted people to see my brain. I wanted people to see the attention to detail. And I think you trust somebody when you see those characteristics. And that really came to light randomly. I think I wrote about this in one of my Substacks, that I saw this woman from afar, and she wasn't wearing designer clothes or anything, but she just had like jewelry and this like basic white shirt and these jeans, and she just looked everything was effortless, but you could tell everything had a story and that she had a story. And I was like, I would trust her to do my accounting. I'd trust her to do anything just because she was so intentional. And that's where it was an aha moment. I was like, if I build a house and I show people the intention and how I connect these dots of bringing people into my home, making them feel seen and safe, and then also showing them my attention to detail, I believe people will want to work with me in just about any capacity of what I find myself in.
Agreed. And I mean, I'm reading Unreasonable Hospitality right now.
Yeah.
It's an incredible book by Will Guidara, a New York Times bestseller. And there's a lot of thought that goes into what they do and the intentionality that they go to and the effort that they go to. You told me that you hadn't read it yet when you first went down this path, but you have since. What are some takeaways you have from that book that maybe have led to some of the things you've done?
It honestly just helped me. It made me feel seen, honestly, because it is absolutely insane some of the things that you do to make someone else happy that is maybe a complete stranger or people that you care about in your life. But like you said, it's a lot to have people come in. I'm fronting all of the money. I'm paying for all of the parties myself and hoping that the ticket sales or a sponsor will come through. And, I don't know that I necessarily took something that they did away in that, I'm going to do that. But it did make me realize, like, man, if I could have a staff, if I could have an operator and I could have all of these people that could help me, I could do some of those things. So it was great to see them do it way before I had even heard of it. I think it was from watching The Bear. Yeah. And just those little details, which is almost borderline it's insane. It's like... It's
OCD on steroids.
Yeah. And so it just made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone.
So let's talk about the people that come in. I mean, what does good company mean to you? No bad company, so it has to be good company.
Yeah.
How do you define that?
So you need to be curious, you need to be generous, and you should be unapologetically yourself. So when you come to my parties, I think it's a lot of part of it is how I command a room and how I show up for myself and other people, because this isn't a networking event. This is a party. You're here to have a good time and get out of it what you want to get out of it, but you're coming and bringing your best self. So that's the part of like creating a space where like you're in a beautiful space, so you already kind of feel like you're on your best behavior in a way, but you also don't want to not get invited back. You also want to present your best self because everybody here just kind of seems like they're doing something, And one of my friends gave me a great compliment. Two of them. One was like, when I come to your house and your parties, my nervous system is calm. And I don't get to go out in Austin and have that feeling. And another person told me, she was like, when I come to your parties, they don't even know that I'm your best friend, but they come up and they introduce themselves to me, like just out of nowhere, just people coming up to me and introducing themselves. She goes, it's amazing. And so I think there's this kind of electricity that happens when people feel safe and unapologetically themselves. And I love that I also provide a space where you can do something very different from the other person. It's not a founders club. It's not, builders and dreamers. It's not only artists and creatives. It's kind of everybody. So there's opportunity to have different conversations. And I think, that's a big part of it.
So you say you don't gatekeep, so people can come to this and you invite people in, but you also can't physically probably keep track of every person that you invite. So what's your filter? How do you make sure that this really works in your ecosystem?
I actually do. I spend a lot of time on crowd control. Anyone who has seen me do it, when I create invite pages, I set it where you have to be accepted. So I will look you up. So, and then I put on there who referred you. So there's certain people in my life that I know that they're only going to bring good people. And anyone that puts their referral name, I will text them and say, hey, did you refer, Will, Sam, Sarah, And they're like, yes, no, I don't know who that person is. I'm like, cool, I'll accept these two people. Let me look up who Sarah is, because I always ask for LinkedIn and Instagram handles. And, if they look like good people, or we have a lot of friends in common. Sometimes I'll even go and see a friend in common, like, hey, who is this person? What's their story? Would they be good at the party? Would you vouch for them? And if so, I spend a lot of time looking everybody up that I don't know. And I also individually text people. So I have kind of a list of, I call them like No Bad Company VIPs. They always get my text invites first. And especially because I'll do tiered tickets. So it's like, early bird tickets and they go up. And then, so I want to be sure that my friends that, they get the discount codes, they get in the early bird tickets. And those are the people that always show up. Those are the cheerleaders. Those are the champions. And then they're the ones that will also bring people. So when you come, a big reason why you feel safe is that it's all 1 degree of separation. I'm making sure that we have, about 50-50 men, women, and that we have a very racially diverse audience as well. That's one thing I really pride myself on, is that there is a diversity at my events.
I love this.
Yeah.
So that you do curate the room in a very special way.
Yeah, I would say that takes a very long time to do. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break here. We're talking to Chloé Chang here at Château Chloé about hospitality, community, and what it takes to intentionally build the people and experiences you want around you. Before we keep going, we'll have a quick Austin Eras note. We're trying to build a community of our own. Our next Austin Eras happy hour is August 27th at the Brutorium near Airport Boulevard. We'd love to have you join us. We also publish the Austin Eras newsletter, where we go deeper on Austin, essays, ideas, people's places, and some of the things we were learning through these conversations. You can find the happy hour newsletter, podcast, and everything else we're doing at austineras.com. And if you're enjoying the show, please subscribe wherever you listen or watch. We'll be right back with Chloé Chang after this message from Collective Advisors.
In every episode of Austin Eras, we uncover the city's history, vibrant present, and bold future. Just like Austin, your financial journey is a story worth crafting. At Collective Advisors, led by Adam Flagg, managing partner, senior wealth advisor, and certified financial planner professional, your story is in skilled hands. From investments to retirement planning, Adam and his team bring together a collective of dependable professionals to help you build, maintain, and enjoy financial security. Start your financial legacy today at collectiveadvisors.com or call 512-467-1923. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Welcome back to Austin Eras. We're here at Château Chloé with Chloé Chang. And before the break, we were talking about people she brings together and what good company actually means. There's another side of this that I find fascinating. Chloé's figured out how to build a business around something she genuinely seems to love doing, and that brings us to the flywheel that you've built. So let's talk about this flywheel, because you actually wrote about it in your blog. It's online. It's in your Substack. Real estate funds the experiences build relationships. Relationships create opportunities, and opportunities grow the business. That's very circular.
Yeah.
And I feel like you get to have some fun in like a lot of those stages while you're helping people buy homes at the same time. That's fun. Like, when do you not have fun?
I think fun is a very core part of my life. Yeah, if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. And I also am someone that is patient, and I don't need the instant gratification as long as I'm moving forward towards the vision.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good at not giving up on something when I have a big idea. I'm putting the wheels in motion.
That's great. So did you look up one day and it just, the flywheel been built? Was that intentional?
No. So, okay, if you're at all interested in marketing, branding, I highly recommend following Camille Moore. Camille Moore has a great podcast called The Art of the Brand, and she does these case studies on her Substack. And she was talking about Reese Witherspoon and her flywheel, and I was like, wow, okay, that makes total sense. And so Reese's flywheel is like, she has a book club, millions of followers. She reads a book. She basically will negotiate the rights to film the movie. And then she releases the book to her audience. And if the audience likes it, she films the movie. If they don't like it, she doesn't. And it's genius because then all of her friends are like Jennifer Aniston, whatever, Nicole Kidman. You see them a lot in her movies and shows. And so she gets to work with her friends.
That's amazing.
And I was like, this is genius. She's a genius. So Camille Moore is She's incredible, and I've learned a lot just following her podcast.
So when everything feeds this flywheel, what in your life is allowed to have no purpose? Like, do you have just some good fun with no flywheel? Like, what does that look like for you?
Like, it's not programmed.
Guilty pleasure. Yeah.
I watch a lot of reality TV.
Okay.
So my couch is extremely comfortable. I love snacking. I love eating. So I will definitely go out and eat. I'll order food and we'll binge watch too much TV.
So you have to have some downtime at times.
Yeah.
It's too much to be on all the time.
My brain needs a break. The 16-something personalities in there, they kind of start to slowly shut down after a while.
Well, one thing I admire about you is you seem to say, I want this to exist, and then you actually build it. A lot of people stop at the imagining. And so what makes you execute when most people just keep talking about something?
I think it's that it's going to drive me crazy because it'll just become a loop in my head and it'll just stay there until either I forget about it or I do something about it. And if I forget about it, then it was probably something I shouldn't or wouldn't need to do anyways. But sometimes it comes back and it's like, oh, that's why I had that experience. You know, in your life where you get somewhere and you're like, this is why, 20 years ago I did this, and now I get to bring it back. And it's fun that sometimes ideas that I had a while ago can resurface in something actionable. But yeah, what's the point of talking about it? Do it.
Well, you said something to me at the pre-show call that I think every entrepreneur says, but you said it in a really special way, which is, I can tell people exactly how I do it and what I do in every step, but they're never actually going to do it.
Right.
And I think that's an interesting concept because being an entrepreneur takes some effort, but also it takes like a little bit of your own personality and style to pull it off.
Yeah. I think everyone can put their own touch to it. Realtors, like there's 20,000 realtors. We all run our businesses differently. So yeah, there's other amazing event producers and community leaders, and we all kind of have our own little way of doing things. And I think that's great.
I remember early on 20 years ago when I first moved here, people were concerned that Austin was going to become San Francisco, that there were only so many people that had so much money that could afford to live here. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I do want to give you an example. I have someone that I just hired that moved here from Southern California. She's new to the area. She's only been here a couple of weeks. She's now facing something thousands of people face every year that move here. I moved here. How do I build a life here? I don't know a lot of people. What does that look like? What would you tell someone that moved here yesterday about building community that doesn't know anyone?
I want to be sensitive to that because I think a big part of why I do events consistently is because it is very hard to make friends. It's easy to join a group or a club, but it's hard to be comfortable enough to run into someone, get their phone number, and then make it part of your habit to text them and see how their day is going. Or, hey, do you want to go grab a drink or go watch a game or whatever? And you know what? A lot of it is when I do poker nights or any parties, I like to do a series of, 4 to 6, because then you meet. Now you're familiar the second time. Now you're close enough to maybe ask for your phone number. Fourth time, you're like, okay, I could see you. Like, do you want to go to this party or this event? Oh, we're both single or whatever. And so it's the consistency. We're no longer going to the office. A lot of us, like me, are not consistent at the gym, or the gym is not my identity.
Yeah.
Or you don't talk to people at the gym. And church, I don't think as many people go to church. And so the community is a lot around the consistency. I think the memberships can be successful if you're building something where people are consistently going, meaning like every day, every week. And that familiarity is going to make people feel comfortable, safe, and that's real hospitality. But for her, to answer your question, is, join something that you like. I remember when I used to work downtown and there was traffic then, you'd go to a bar and have a happy hour and you would meet people very organically here. I think people are very friendly. They're open to meeting new people, and there's a lot of activities that she could join. But yeah, I think the hardest part is getting people out of their house.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Getting people out of their routine.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So I know you've traveled quite a few places. You've experienced a lot of other cities, and you could probably build this somewhere else. You went to school here, you've built a career here, but why Austin? Why do you continue to believe and reinvest in this city and this community?
I think we have the best talent in the world. I really think that the people who are entrepreneurs, creatives, just kind people. If you're not in a group of people who are not cheering for you, you're in the wrong group of people. And you can absolutely find people in Austin that want you to win. And when you introduce yourself, if people aren't asking, how can I help you? You need to get out of that room. I design a room for people who ask, what are you working on? What's an obsession that you have right now? And then, I know someone you should meet. And I think that's the energy, and maybe it's the bubble that I'm in, is that I could, I guess, create this somewhere else, but I actually don't know if I could. I think that what makes Austin special is that small town feeling in a big city that it's very reputational based. It's, are you a good person? I don't care if you drive a Ferrari or you have $1 billion. Are you like a decent human? And I think that's a big part of what makes Austin special is you have to be a good, decent person, I think, to be liked and respected here. You can't just throw around money and names.
Agreed. I want to actually hear your opinion, your taste making, essentially, of how you view Austin, what you like to do, where you like to go, all of that. So this is the Good Hang segment. So
okay.
If you could have dinner with any Austinite, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I think it'd be interesting to talk to, is it Lady Bird Johnson?
Yeah.
She could be cool. What was her vision for Austin and some of these cultural people throughout history, especially women? I'm trying to think of another woman.
Woman in Austin. Yeah, there's many.
Did I say her name right?
Lady Bird Johnson?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I almost said, because it's Lyndon B. Johnson is the...
That's right.
I mean,
she's the one credited with all the wildflowers, right? Texas paintbrush.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
A friend has come to Austin for 36 hours. They're in here for a little bit. Where are you taking them?
Well, I just recently went to Equipment Room.
Yes.
And that was awesome. So I would love to give them that feel. And I think you got to take them to get Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Right?
So where's your spot?
You got to take them to Matt's El Rancho. It's a classic.
Yes.
You got to get the Bob's Queso.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, other places that are fantastic, but it's easy and it's the vibe. You really get Austin when you walk into Matt's El Rancho.
You do.
Which I think is great. I would take them to Walktown Lake. I would love to. Yeah, I think you get to really experience Austin. And sometimes I will walk on Town Lake and be like, is this Austin? Is this where I live? Because there's moments where you look out and it looks like you could be in Europe. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes that just, I pretend when I'm on a walk that I'm in Europe. I'm like, sorry, I can't be there this summer, guys. I'll be back. But in the meantime, I'm on Town Lake. It's a place in Italy. You never heard of it?
Austin's changed so much in so many ways sometimes that you walk around and it feels like you're a stranger sometimes.
I think that's one of the things I love is I feel like I'm watching this city be a teenager and going through their growing pains and maybe a little moody and everyone's a little like, man. And I'm like, just you wait. Just wait. And I think there's stuff that makes me a little sad. Some of the stuff with South Congress. I'm like, damn. A lot of private equity coming in,
yes.
Which is why I'm so protective of East Austin. But yeah, for a friend, I would love to just kind of take them to some local bars, get some good food, Walktown Lake, check out Equipment Room.
Equipment Room, by the way, is a vinyl record bar.
Yes.
Is that a good description of it?
Yeah, it's an experience, which I think is amazing. Yeah.
I haven't been yet, but I'm a huge vinyl record person.
Yeah.
So tell me what that feels like for you.
I think it's so, what they did with this omakase vinyl, which I thought it was sushi. It wasn't, but I was like, when you think you're going to get sushi and then you don't, it's kind of heartbreaking. It's like, fuck. So now I'm craving sushi. Sorry, I digress. But you come in, it's I think it's only 60 people are allowed. You're given a seat and they explain the record. This was Radiohead's In Rainbow.
Yeah.
Which I don't listen to Radiohead. I have never intentionally listened to Radiohead. And I loved it. I was like, I'm going to listen to this album while I'm working. It was so flow state vibes. Mm-hmm. And to listen to an album or a band that I had never even listened to and fall in love with
Where
it.
were you on Radiohead all this time?
I was probably listening to Britney Spears or something. I was in the gym working out as a gymnast, so I only listened to what was on like 104 KRB, okay? But yeah, it was, they made the menu with like the names of the drinks after songs, and then the food was curated to the album, and then the guy who introduced the album told his story around his experience with Radiohead, and then after the album, they allowed everyone in the audience to kind of speak up and like talk about what they felt, and they're almost kind of like a book club vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so interesting. And afterwards, I wanted to go up to a couple people, and I almost raised my hand and said, this is my first time, but there were so many like fans in there. I was like, no, I'm just
Who's someone in Austin doing something right now you think more people should know about?
Ooh, well, obviously I would like to plug my boyfriend's company.
Sure, tell us about it.
So my boyfriend's name is Eric Gonzalez, and he's a very impressive human being, and he has developed this voice AI. I'd like to think he sometimes will tell me I'm his muse, so I'll take a little credit. But a big part of putting the right people in the right room is using his voice AI platform to make sure that I am actually curating the right people for the right event. So, for example, I will talk to it and say, hey, I'm throwing a dinner party. Who are 10 people that I should invite, and how should I connect them? And it basically will do that for me.
Really? Mm-hmm. What's it called?
It's called Tenor.
Okay.
TENUR.
All right.
So it's great for people who are event producers, people who are drawing people to a purpose or a place, is how I explain it. Like if you're raising money for a charity, or you're a Paddle 39 owner and you want to say like, hey, let's get a game together and see who would be good to play each other. And so I'm using this tool to really help me invite people in a personal way. So you might get a text from me, and I will, after this, will, talk to it and tell everything about you. And then it'll have this context. So I used to use Salesforce, where it's like, okay, this person has a dog. I had all this information on people, but it didn't fit into a field. And now I can just talk to it, and the context of AI will tell me when I should reach out to you and in what way. And so it's kind of cool.
What's the best room in Austin to go into that isn't yours?
I really like Devil May Care.
Okay.
It's a couple of my friends own it, and I think whenever I go there, I do feel very taken care of. They have great cocktails, good food. I like kind of the low ceiling, feels like kind of a hug in there. I love the Proper. I don't know about I can't say for their hospitality.
Okay.
But I will say that I love Kelly Wurschler. I saw her in the elevator at the Proper, and I go, are you Kelly Wurschler? I knew she was Kelly Wurschler. And she goes, I am. And I was like, I love you. I love this last post you did on Instagram with the jeans. And I was like, I was not a cool girl at all, but she was very sweet.
That's good of you.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to meet people in Austin, but we are a little bit different around celebrities, right? Yeah, it's never over the top. Like you were reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in the elevator with me, so she was probably just like, get me. I was nice.
Yeah.
I was like, not like touching her or
Forced
anything.
interaction inside an elevator. Yeah. So I think the last kind of space I want to take you is what's next? You built this house, you built these events, you built No Bad Company. What are you building right now that we haven't seen yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm always tinkering on an idea or two. So it's kind of a big idea. And like, as you mentioned, maybe earlier, is like my brain is very chaotic. And it's hard for me to succinctly put something into like, and that's what I'm working on right now. Actually, it's like, what next is like, take the chaos and organize it. But so what I'm working on now is No Bad Company is a production company, and I have these verticals, and I'm explaining this to you as I'm thinking, so hopefully I nail it.
It's live.
It's okay. So No Bad Company is a production company, and I have these verticals. I have the community, right? I call that kind of like the lifestyle. And then I have the venue, Château Chloé. And then I have me, the creator and the creative director. And brands will partner with me to have access to this world that I've created. And what I do with my house is I rent it out, and companies like James Avery or Bloom or Dibs Beauty, and they will come and do photo shoots here. And so I'm watching people create things in my creation. And I think it's super cool, and I want to do more of that. And so I want to get these brands that have a healthy event budget and come in, I want to produce their events and bring my network into it. And yeah, that's kind of what's next. And so how do I get these bigger brands to work with someone like me? Because right now it's been so incredible that a lot of local brands have reached out, and I love supporting local, but their budgets are difficult to work with sometimes. And so I want to promote them in ways that I can bring them along with these bigger brands. So a tequila company or a vodka company that maybe are just getting started and they can't spend more than $500 or $1,000 for a sponsorship, which every little bit helps, but it's not going to make money or, be viable long term. So if I can get a Nike or an Anthropic or a Dell to want to do an F1 event or a South by event or even just an ACL after party, there's so many things that I have a lot of ideas of how I could do all of these fun collabs. So the idea is just more collabs, bringing in local creators, artists, musicians, chefs, and bring in some big brands that want access to this cool little world that I've created. And how I do that is kind of still in the works.
Well, I love it because, almost everything right now is getting automated through AI. But
yeah.
Human connection cannot be automated. So I think the core of what we talked about today is that hospitality becomes more valuable. What you're doing, the connections and the brand partnerships and bringing people in the room and making them feel seen, that becomes more scarce.
It does. It feels in Austin like it's not, because there's all of these events happening, which I think is incredible. And I think it's only going to keep getting bigger and better. And I'm very excited to see Austin continue to grow and bring this community out of people. And we'll see. I think what makes mine unique is that they're house parties. And I do have people that want to partner with me to bring my audience to their venue or their bar or their event or their charity, which is great because I get to only then continue to add to my network. But I think what's important is when you can build influence, and I want to become one of the most influential people in Austin. And that doesn't mean influencer. That means I have your trust, I have your attention. And when I have that, I'm able to bring to light very talented and interesting people in our community. I'm able to connect the dots a lot better. And I get to be in rooms with people doing great things, and I get to be a sponge and learn all about that. And so that's the more I can network with your people and I can bring an audience to your podcast. It's like we can all work together in the flywheel. And so it's finding those people that see that type of vision.
I love that. I have a final question for you. And so when you think about Austin 10 or 20 years from now, what do you hope people still find here when they're looking for their people? How does community continue in this city?
I hope it continues to be very genuine. I think people helping each other, even as neighbors. I love being able to go across the street and have dinner with my neighbors. And I think as Austin becomes more dense, as we live closer and closer together, I think that ability to get out of your house and talk to your neighbor, that's why I built front porches. I loved that stoop concept of just sitting on the front porch and talking to your neighbors and playing music, and it feels lively, it feels vibrant. And so I hope Austin continues to grow that vibrancy through the people and the talent that everybody here has.
Thank you so much for joining us, Chloé. Chloé Chang, realtor, no bad company, Château Chloé. I hope you go check her out online, find her. We'll put all the links here on the show. Chloé, it was such an honor having you as a guest. It was really fun talking about Austin with you.
Yeah, so fun. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Adam Flagg. I'm your host with Austin Eras. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Austin Eras, featuring Adam Flagg, is brought to you by Collective Advisors. Collective Advisors offers investment advisory services through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on Austin Eras are not affiliates of CWM LLC, and opinions expressed by guests may not reflect those of CWM LLC. This show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal, tax, or other professional advice. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a qualified professional.